don't understand why you're 40 years old playing this game still. So.
Well, I mean, what game do you think you're going to be playing when you're 40? When do you think you're going to stop playing games? What's the age? What's the cutoff age?
When you're out of high school and college.
You're a high school kid?
Yeah, I'm in high school. Yeah.
How old are you?
Why does it matter?
Well, I mean, you foresee yourself in the future quitting something you love, like video games? Do you not love video games? You just cruising through it.
I mean, I think it's a little bit of a waste of time when you're that old. But. Well,
how do you know? You're not old yet. I mean, I can think of probably reasons that video games would be a waste of time for a high school kid, too. Do you have a 4.0? Are you in honor classes to get more than a 4.0?
No, but...
You know what I'm saying? There's more things you could be doing to improve your life than playing video games, too, right?
Yeah, you study and not play games.
Hey, just recreation, man. Having fun. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
All right, then.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Week in Culture over here at Honey Badger Arcade. I'm joined by John, the problematic white guy. What's up?
Hola.
How's your week? You do anything fun?
Yeah. I've been building up the Discord server and getting a whole bunch of new people to join. We actually have more members now than the max concurrent number of Dustborn players. So.
We're gonna double check those.
Up from the Midwest,
I'm gonna double check those numbers at the end of the show. We're gonna find out exactly how many people are supporting the much needed work of these AAA developers over at Quantic Dream. So you hold your tongue until the end of the show, Mister.
Okay.
Because you might be wrong. Prepare to eat
I could
crow.
be wrong. That's right. Okay. So the number to beat is 91. We'll see.
Okay. We'll see how we're doing. Because you never know,
right.
Dustborn could make a comeback, and turn it around, turn this thing around. But we'll find out. So yeah, well, I've had a really busy week, mostly just working on my other shows, and I also managed to cram in a little bit of spare time to watch movies with my wife because she was a sheltered child and needs to experience the wonders of good cinema. So we watched, we watched Dick Tracy. The movie from the Warren Beatty one. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah.
A little bit
Madonna's, one of her first movie roles, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, was it one of her? I mean, she was in some Who's That Girl?
She was in,
I don't know when that
movies and things like that. But I think that was one of her first major movie. It was definitely her first major movie role. I would say that was late 80s, early 90s at the latest.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, it was her. She wasn't annoying in it, and back then she looked like a woman. So now she looks like some kind of it's a shame. I don't want to go on too much of a tangent, but it is a shame that women like Madonna or other women that they want to stay young and they do horrible stuff to themselves.
Right.
And I wish they wouldn't.
Looking way worse if they would just let themselves be graceful.
Exactly, and it's not a thing that men particularly want. I know that men are often blamed for that, for beauty standards, but that's not coming from men. That's coming from female competition. But anyway, so yeah, I watched Dick Tracy. I watched Beetlejuice. I'd seen Beetlejuice before, but since the new movie's the sequel being talked about, Lindsay hadn't seen it, so we watched Beetlejuice, and she liked it. She thought it was really weird. And I was like, yeah, that's the point. Although there are some interesting things going on in Beetlejuice, actually, symbolically. But we can talk about that another time. But yeah, I watched Beetlejuice, and I also saw Deadpool and Wolverine, which was okay. It was like Guardians 3. It was pretty decent,
Yeah, that was my take on it. I didn't pay to see it. I saw
me neither.
Because F Disney. But yeah, no, I enjoyed it for what it was, just basic popcorn movie. Didn't really think too much about it.
Yeah, and but it was all right. So that was the bulk of it. I am planning a road trip at the end of the month to go to Calgary, Alberta. So it's going to be a beast of a drive. And
you're pulling your own Dustborn.
Yeah, so there won't be any. Yes, I'm not going there to escape. I'm going there to try to rescue Canadians from their own government.
A reverse Dustborn.
So
we gotta go get the people and then exfiltrate.
Yeah, so that's gonna be at the end of the month. So that week there won't be any shows on my channel. But yeah, you guys you'll be fine. It's just consider a little vacation. But anyway, we got to get into a lot this week. So let's start off by responding to or looking at this video. So Black Girl Gamers had, I guess it was like a summit, Black Girl Gamers online summit. So basically a bunch of like, echo chamber voice chats, and they had a number of
their
videos.
Living rooms.
Yes, all from their living rooms and basements and attics.
Right. I guess we're having a summit right now too. Then, if that's
this
like
is
what the standard is.
That's right. This is the Honey Badger Arcade Summit, and I'm glad that you all could make it.
Right.
Please see the join us for the coffee and booze after show. No, I don't have that on offer, although I wish I did. But anyway, we had a Black Girl Gamer Summit, and they were going to talk about GamerGate, and it was exactly what you might expect. They had on, what was it, Ash Sarkar.
Ash Parrish.
Ash Parrish, that's right. Ash Parrish.
Yeah. But she's going by Ashley now because now she's a real journalist.
Okay. So an adult.
Kotaku.
Yeah. And she works at The Verge. And then you have Kim Belair of Sweet Baby Inc. herself. And the host is, or at least the person that is, I would say moderator, but there's nothing antagonistic about this conversation at all. So the host of the call is a representative from Black Girl Gamers, and they are discussing GamerGate. So I have a few sound bites that I thought I would play. I even have some that I could just read out, which are essentially the takeaways from this. But let's start by having her introduce the topic. So here we go. Hopefully this plays.
Yeah.
Am I going to get an ad now?
Just before
in this panel, we're going to use GamerGate as the backdrop, and we'll discuss the realities of gaming culture, the intersections with gaming community, and how people can be accountable allies. I'll be joined.
All right.
Oh, we need to be allies now, do we?
So we got, right off the bat, there's like two things right there. First, she says the word intersection, and you have to understand that we're dealing with intersectional, right, feminists or intersectional woke activists or whatever you want to call it. So they're normalizing language that they can use essentially in the future. It's like embedding it in you. Okay, so they're saying,
as we've learned from Dustborn,
yes,
this is one of their attacks.
And the other thing that they said is accountable allies. So again, and I'm glad I saw that Smash JT did a video on this, and I'm glad that he sees these language games as well, because this is extremely important. I think it's more important.
Magic.
Yeah, this is more important than like essentially how you choose to spend your money, and because those things are kind of obvious and very easy to defend. Like when people say, why didn't you buy this game? And I got a couple of things that say that, bigotry is one, you should be supporting this title. No, like you can't make me spend my money the way I want to. Have you ever listened to Rage Against the Machine's message that they themselves don't actually follow? Yeah, fuck you. I won't do what you told me, right? You tell me. But more than that is these subtle manipulations and distortions of words, like when they use the word intersection or when they say accountable ally. What does that mean?
Right.
What does that mean?
Dude, I can tell you from my own experience, allies are all lies. That's some bullshit, right? Like, I very quickly became some silly ass cracker in the corner that was easily expendable when the time for push come to shove came. And, all of a sudden my years of being an ally was right out the window. So I don't really care to hear about any of this, woke white women trash that's being spouted by these ethnically beige women, because they're all just woke ass white women, whether they realize it or not.
Grandor says, I don't get the reason for this topic. I thought gamers were over a decade ago. Yes, but we are the resurrected gamers. On the 10th year, we are risen, and they did not know we were still out there.
It'll probably be like this every 10 years.
Yeah. Oh no, it's gonna be ongoing. The culture war will be going on after I've left this world. but I'm still gonna fight
easily.
it. So yeah,
right.
All right, let's listen to the next clip. So this is the Ashley Parrish, she, her, just in case you guys need to know.
That's right.
She, her, staff writer of The Verge. Go ahead.
And Kotaku, former editor-in-chief of Kotaku up until just a few months ago, when she decided that she needed to change her name to be more adulty.
Is that around the same time that Kotaku said that they were going to focus only on game guides?
Mm-hmm. Yep,
okay.
That was the whole time that whole transition happened, I believe, if I recall.
Yes.
I think she was still. Yes. I think she was, and then now, because it used to be Stephen Toledo, and then it became her, and now I believe it's Mercante. Is the
Alyssa Mercante got a promotion out of it?
I remember she's the one who raised such a fit about them doing the game guides that they didn't. So I'm not exactly certain who the editor-in-chief is over there now, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's Mercante.
Yeah.
Right now it's Mercante.
Yeah, Mercante. We'll I don't know, but if you guys know the answer to that, let me know in the chat. I am looking at the chat, so all right. Yeah. So let's take a look at this is Ashley Parrish's thoughts.
So I am a video game journalist.
No shit.
And if you know nothing about GamerGate, one of their main hated enemies more than anything is a video game journalist who is not afraid to speak truth to power. And my experience with that whole...
Can we pause for just a second? Who's power here? Like I'm just a white dude sitting behind like 4 or 5 monitors with like a gaming console, and like I have nothing. I have no power. Like what you're and are we the power structure that we're that she's referring to? Because last I checked, we're not the ones who make these decisions. We are people having a response, like we're responding to foolish business practices. And so like like that's the thing that's all wrong about this is they put it on the end user when it was a bad product from the start. So, but anyways,
yeah. Well, but the thing is, when they say I'm speaking truth to power, they really believe this. Like this isn't. They're not being deceitful. They believe that.
I know.
Despite having, I think they're evil. Like I think this is just evil, and they don't know because they're convinced that what they're doing is in fact completely rational and the right thing to do. And they're aware of like the systems that they're supposedly attacking. So when they say speaking truth to power, or at least framing anything in a power, like oppressor dynamic, they're speaking about abstractions that are not you can't actually like define clearly. They're not looking at a large building, or a castle and saying that's the patriarchy, right?
Right. So actually what you're saying is when the term speaking truth to power is basically we are programming these words into the power structure, and we are in essence making truth. So this is the normalization game.
Well, it is that too, yes, but I think that they honestly think that despite the fact that they're living in the first world and they're probably financially comfortable and independent and don't know suffering, they've never lived in like a bombed out country or have actually experienced, real poverty. They probably just had it pretty good. And the fact that they're women means that it's probably even extra good because women generally are treated better than men. Like they just are. And that's a fact. And that's it. So like they have it so good. They have no idea how bad it could be, but they're convinced that things are bad because they believe that there is an abstract power structure they can't see, they can't hear, they can't taste, they can't smell, and they can't touch, but it's seriously there, and we, the chuds, we are defending the power structure. And even though we have, like, in the actual real world, we don't have much power, and they do. Right. Like, a journalist gets to control narratives, and they think that she thinks she's an underdog, even though she is surrounded not just like at the local, at her local proximity at The Verge, but like in the broader sense, like by all the corporate media, they all
she's an
are saying
operative.
they're all singing the same song. They're all operating in unison, and they all have a tremendous of an influence over the culture, over the governments, over the corporations. Like they're obviously marching in lockstep, but she is somehow simultaneously convinced that she's actually in danger, that she's actually oppressed. And this is how it works. This is what it's all about. And it's always the same rhetoric. So, and of course, again, you got Jan Lopez, CEO, Black Girl Gamers, Kim Belair, CEO, Sweet Baby Inc., and Ashley Parrish, staff writer for The Verge. All of them are probably getting paid really well. And actually, I will also add, they're probably getting government money as well. And a lot of it. Right. Because I know the Pentagon invests in all kinds of entertainment. And it's all about keeping people in line. Face. Yes. Thank you for the subscription. Thank you for the subscription, Bastet and Nyanya. Welcome to the show. I'm assuming it's the VTubers that drew you in, and that's okay because it's the point.
That's right.
All right. Anyway, so so she's speaking when she says speaking truth to power. She's essentially what's really important for these people is that they always position themselves as the victim. So even no matter how much power they have, no matter how much they grow in influence, they still have to position themselves as below because otherwise they're afraid they're going to lose sympathy.
Right. Well, and their funding models are built around the idea that they're, fighting oppression and, needing to get a leg up. Like when you talk about what is a welfare queen, this is my, this is what it looks like. Like it's not some chick in the ghetto with like that is one version of it, but this is an even worse version of it, I would say, because, it's like these people are of means and, they're simply just, being rewarded to kind of like, carry out this turning of the wheel, as it were, like the fourth turning, I believe is what they call it that we're going through. So, I mean, this half hour was a hard slog to get through, but I know. But also at the same time, like you hear certain things and then all of a sudden, like you just go like, oh man, like, but we're at least breaking it up well enough that I don't think anybody should have to worry too much about a yeast infection in their ears or their eyes. So right.
I'm just going to play a couple. I want to get like a couple of main points that each one of these people bring up, and then we'll just address them. So I'm going to finish the rest of Ashley Parrish's comment because she's the journalist, and that means that she is the official like source that you should go to if you don't want to be misinformed or disinformed. So let's listen to her thoughts, her truth about Gamergate, her truth.
The truth.
Chicanery is that they popped up. I went and embedded in their Discord and listened to the kinds of things that they were saying and why they were saying those things. Wrote a piece about how this second Gamergate is a bit smaller and sadder than what it was 10 years ago. And, whenever you write about those kinds of things, it really like kicks a hornet's nest over. And so you get all these kinds of negative attention on your social media, in your email, those kinds of things. I've gotten death threats to my voicemail that I've had to, call the FBI about. And that's just what happens when you try to do your job as a journalist and write about these things that are happening in a truthful and authentic kind of way. And sometimes
so I've gotten, this is just like the checklist. I got death threats. I infiltrated their servers. I wrote about them, and apparently the new Gamergate, the way that they're framing it, the new Gamergate 2.0 is smaller and sadder than though it was 10 years ago. Actually, I will say that she is 100% wrong on that. I think that this Gamergate is more effective.
It's more pervasive too.
It's more pervasive and it's more effective. And you don't need to look any further than the sales numbers and all the bullshit they're trying to push. And how the journalists, the websites are doing. Like if you go to like Kotaku or IGN now, it's got way more ads than it did back then because people are just not going to their websites. So they got to get their money somewhere else. So they're just buying up crazy amounts of ad space and you can't even look at their website. Like it's almost impossible. It's just like Trump said, they're failing. The legacy media is a failing institution that is essentially full of activists that are actually bad for the company. So
right. And they're all sponsorship whores too. So it's like you can't even trust.
Oh
the
yeah,
news
for
because
sure.
They're so bought and paid for that every single one of those advertisers they're never going to speak out against.
Yep. So let's see. I'm gonna go to Kim Belair. So let me see. I'm gonna start with where she starts talking. Kim Belair starts talking at 3 minutes, and she's gonna say something about how we made all these successful games, and therefore we don't deserve the hate.
Yeah, I would say I think of us almost in as like patient zero of this wave of GamerGate, in that I think when I think of it as where it started, it was kind of the week that we had announced that we were on both Alan Wake 2 and Spider-Man 2, which are two, I think, popular games among the game community and players in general. And immediately, I think
well, actually, Alan Wake 2 sales are not that good. Now, Spider-Man 2 sales were good, but not because of Kim Belair's contributions. Spider-Man 2 sales were good because Spider-Man is popular. I don't know if you guys ever heard of this guy, but there's this fictional character called Spider-Man that's been around since the 1960s, and he's very popular, especially with boys. Not just the most popular Marvel superhero, but the most popular superhero of all. Right. Like more than Batman. Yes.
Right, and the only comic that is more popular globally is DuckTales.
Is it?
DuckTales is huge. Yeah, DuckTales is like the biggest comic book in the world. It's like huge.
What?
Huge.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, at least maybe the facts have changed, but when I read about it like close to a decade ago, I was floored by it. But woo, DuckTales.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Okay. So anyway, let's listen to more. But she's trying to say we are good because we worked on games that made money. And the only one that made money was Spider-Man 2. And the only reason why it made money was because it was basically despite their contributions. Because Kim Belair's contributions amount to what? Helping a gay dude ask his friend out to the prom. And it's like a side quest that's just like dialogue. And then there's, help the deaf girl with the pride vest, spray paint some shit. And also we need a trans flag and a pride flag in the game, and
they also made Mary Jane like, Super Hulk.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if that was, that's the thing that I would say that I'm not sure if that is a Sweet Baby contribution, although it does look like one, but it could have just been what Insomniac, is it Insomniac?
Right.
Or Sucker Punch? It could have just been what they wanted.
Yeah. Very true. Very true.
But my point is that the game would have been a hit, maybe even a bigger hit if she wasn't involved, if they weren't involved.
Certainly did not. I will not ever play Spider-Man 2 because of their involvement. I'm done with it would be better without them.
Yeah, and the thing is, they think that we can't live without their products. This is why they get mad. Because they think that gamers are just like automatons that buy whatever the new thing is. And yes, there are a lot of guys like that. And I call them culture junkies. And I think that they should stop. But most of us have like the ability to make a choice. And they have. Like, this is the reason why sales are in the toilet for so many of these AAA games. And it may not only be wokeness, but I think that the wokeness makes it harder to defend. Because if you took the time to put woke shit in your game, but your game is a buggy mess, then why weren't you addressing the buggy mess part? And you think you can just shield yourself by saying, but it has a black woman in it, so you can't not like this game because that makes you a bigot.
Right, that's me is actually probably the most annoying factor is the meat shield of defense to lampshade time not spent developing and designing legitimate game mechanics. Your game can look like utter shit if it plays well, and because this is the whole reason on why they pulled Concord from the servers. And it was like I was saying on Tuesday when it happened in real time, we were talking about it. From Sony's investment standpoint, 2 weeks in, and they have like not even 1,000 concurrent players on a game that they spent close to 100 to 200,000, $200 million over, 8 years of development, all this kind of stuff. And it was like I said the other day, it's like, take that shit off your server so nobody notices when you go and strip its skin off and reuse that engine to make something else that you possibly can sell. But if I could give you any bit of advice, don't make it a goddamn live service model game, because we're kind of over that shit.
I think that people are definitely checking out when it comes to live service games. All right, let's listen to the rest of Kim Belair's comments.
Targeting began with this kind of like, we found this secret, sinister website from Sweet Baby Inc. Meanwhile, we're on Twitter like, I've been so excited to let people
actually, I have something to say about that.
Yeah,
because the secret sinister website, that was actually myself and Erwin from Nerd Wars. We both got banned. It was my first week on Twitter, and I got myself banned from Baby Ghosts and effectively Sweet Baby Inc. All in like a matter of like a few short days time. And then I actually infiltrate like I'm like Ash Parrish. I embedded. I used an account. I used an account for one of my friends who is interested in food matters, and so he's making a documentary about organic gardening and things like that. And so like I was like, dude, this is like catnip. Like they're just gonna like let me write it. And yeah, sure enough, I just walked right in. I sat on their server, I think, for about 4 or 5 days until they posted something really stupid that I just had to go and like broadcast. And so at that moment, they were like, I think they kind of realized that, oh shit, there's someone, and they banned a whole bunch of people. Yeah. And so like I mean I expected it to happen to me, but it's kind of funny, like 4 or 5 other people that probably wanted to be there, like they got thrown out too. I'm bad, man.
All right. So the next thing I want to get to is I'm jumped ahead. So Kim Belair is basically claiming that gamers are dumb because they're claiming they found this secret website, but it wasn't actually secret at all. And the only thing that happened was Cabrutus Rambo noticed the trend. He was like, who is this company? And then he basically like started listing them off. That's it. And you know what? Again, no matter what Kim Belair says, no matter how she tries to frame this, no matter how bigoted she thinks we are, and even no matter how bigoted we might actually be, it's irrelevant because we can spend our money the way we want to on whatever we want to, and you just are just fucking mad that we still live in a society where people can essentially have property rights. And if she could have things her way, we would never have a choice. We would have to play her games and we would have to absorb her content. Otherwise, we couldn't be an accountable ally, which by the way means an ally that must understand that at any point they could be targeted with, by being a hate speech promoter or something, and they have to deal with it. Mm-hmm. An accountable ally is what happened to what's the guy's name? The actor from that 70s show, Danny Masterson, who was accused of all kinds of shit, and essentially he just had to like lose his job or he went to jail, and he was an accountable ally because he was like, his friends Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis were like, we believe victims, even though there was no evidence, even though it was many years later, and they had to be accountable allies. So they either had to be ally. It's a choice. It's not a title. You're either an ally or you're going to be held accountable. That's basically how it comes down. So
that's why I say allies are all lies, dude. Like it doesn't exist. It's just it's a magic spell that they try to put you under.
Yep. So here's Ashley Parrish talking about how do you navigate this landscape of misinformation and disinformation when it comes to woke games.
You can get your opinions, you can get your hot takes, you can get your video game reviews from wherever you want, I don't care. But when you are consuming news, like what is happening in the gaming world, consider your source and always consider reliable sources. Your reliable sources are going to be like your big, tentpole legacy media kind of places. I work for The Verge, which is
she like unironically said legacy media. Unironically.
Right.
I know. Who are the ones you can trust? Well, like the gigantic corporate government embedded corporate fucking journalist websites, of course.
Right. The state-based propaganda that it's infiltrated by the CIA, and like, have like one Associated Press story that is just somehow the exact same thing everybody hears at every local affiliate across the goddamn country. Yeah, totally independent.
Also,
completely.
I'm speaking. I'm also speaking truth to power while working under these gigantic corporate tentpole, like an CIA embedded, agencies. But I'm also speaking truth to power.
Got yourself bamboozled.
There's Polygon, there's IGN, there's GameSpot, there's.
How do you not know who GameSpot is? They were like one of the first ones.
I mean, all these different legacy.
Technically.
Oh my god!
Kind of waned.
All of those, by the way, completely like
completely
discredited. Just discredited. Yeah. So I don't even. Okay, so I'm going to, because we've been going for about a half hour on this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back. I don't want to basically give you guys like what the takeaways are from this, and so one is that these people aren't hurting anybody. They're just speaking truth to power. Two is that gamers are dumb because they don't realize that this is just like the normal way of things, that like Sweet Baby Inc. is a normal agency that's just doing what all the other normal agencies are doing, which might be true. And it just means that the list of games you don't want to buy is just going to be bigger, which just means that you're going to save money. So what's the problem? But here are some of the sound bites, and I'll just read them. You get all these kinds of negative attention on your social media, in your email, these kinds of things. I've gotten death threats to my voicemail, and I've had to call the FBI about, which is what Ashley Parrish said. And again, she probably called the FBI because the FBI is willing to listen. And of course, they are part of the system that we're dealing with here. Another one, this is Kim Belair. We got labeled as a DEI company when the fact of the way that we work, or that someone calls in and says, hey, we're making something. We've made a bunch of choices. We'd love for you to either help write, help look at them, help talk to us. So essentially she's saying we're just doing conversations and people are choosing, by their own volition to work with us and give us what we want. While meanwhile, there is literally a clip of her saying what? Just go get your marketing. Them. Yeah, just terrify them, right? With what might happen if they don't give you what you want. What does that mean? Well, how did these people get in these positions? Like, how do these people get in these positions? I'm telling you, there are groups of activists, mostly women, that use the Me Too movement to get positions and whisper networks to get positions in all kinds of companies. Yep. It's just true. I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah,
I actually have an article from GameIndustry.biz, if I remember it correctly. Because 6 months ago, I actually did an article that broke all this down. All right, but like nobody knows who I am, nobody cares. Like, right? So like, there's more people who watch our show than probably ever watched that video. And so like I did this hour-long long-form content where I actually break down the how-tos and whys of the funding models, right? And I was trying to explain to people all the way back then, which is what she says. She's like, well, we're not this evil entity that caused all this. We're just, a paid kind of we're an accessory to the situation that's already in place. And ideologically, yes, you are an accessory, but it has been a strategy to implement to put you there as cattlegate systems to work as are you doing this, are you doing that, are you doing that, and you're there specifically to checkbox at as a doorman, so to speak, and cattlegating these projects through development. And so, like, you can sit here and say that, you're not the primary perpetrators of this, but, that in and of itself is kind of like a little bit more revealing on the wider aspects of how this is a globalist, corporate funded kind of propagandist takeover. And and I don't think that she realizes that she's giving the game away to say, because right now she's just kind of thinking, well, I don't want to be harassed. And I get that. But you know what? Like, you're just following orders. I get it. That's what, all, authoritarian tyrants do throughout time and history. And You know, like don't blame me. I just did the thing that I was paid to do. And you know, it's not really on me, even though you were incepted into this, indoctrinated, because the entire game industry, going all the way back to 2009, since the inception of the Women in Games Special Interest Group specifically, which was funded by the IGA. This is the thing that created this whole structure. And so like this shit spun out of marketing from HR 30 years ago, and it's been building on top of itself and creating pathways to create this system where women could walk in and basically be given the keys to the kingdom and try to like take it over from the inside without anybody paying attention or being able to do anything about it because of this cattle gate system. But yeah, they're not the ones who started it. They're just, you know, the mechanism of control that's being used to implement it over time.
Yeah, I mean, they still benefit and they don't care about it. So they're just trying to get theirs, and they don't have the scruples to question like what are like who are they actually serving and to what end.
Right.
And that's, and I mean, they're experiencing cognitive dissonance all the time. They must be, to be like, oh, I'm in this position of authority, but also I am speaking truth to authority. But like, no, you are the authority. Like, you represent them. And at the end of the day, I mean, this is like, it's not to be mean, but they're just useful idiots. This is what, this is what Yuri Bezmenov called them. They're useful idiots that are just serving a regime, and they think that they're the rebels. They think they're the underdogs. So I just want to like sum this up. Essentially, what they conclude on is a couple things. One, something's got to be done about gamers. So we need to do something about gamers. They need to be held accountable. They need to be, they are the problem. We need to eliminate them, in some way, because they have to be taken care of. And the other thing they're saying is that more people in the journalism, in the development space, in the political, with positions of political influence or social influence, have to speak out in support of them. So what are they doing? They're crying to daddy and mommy to help, which is essentially more authoritarian forces, that they're trying to exercise. But they're also issuing a threat. So like, if you are a journalist that does not, if they consider you a journalist or influencer or streamer or someone in the game space that is not stepping up and like, saying something in opposition to GamerGate 2, people like us, then you are part of the problem. So they're basically drawing a line in the sand, and they're telling everybody, you have to either side with us or we're going to think you're against us. And that's where it's coming. So, we'll see. I mean, I think the customers have spoken when they didn't buy your crap. And that's enough. I mean, from now on, I don't think Sweet Baby, like, I think they're working on that Wolverine game. I have a feeling that's going to be a massive disaster.
Oh yeah. By the way, do you have that image that you sent me about like what it means for them to sit here and pull their little game about, well, it's not made for you? Okay.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that image is beautiful. That's
I do have it. I do have it. I'll put that. I mean, I'll put that up at the end. Go ahead. It sums up a lot of this thing where, like, how long have they been sitting here saying, well, we just want to make our own stuff, and we want you to, like, it's like, all right, cool, you're finally going to do that. That's all we were asking you to do. And as soon as they do it, every single time they do it, it falls flat on its face, and they have to yank it off of goddamn like live service server, because they're not going to be able to, like, just funnel money into it endlessly, because it's not doing what it's supposed to do, which is generate profit and revenue, or it's like Dustborn, where some jagoff from the Midwest can, like, end up getting more members than you have concurrent players in less time, and because I didn't even start my my Discord server until, like, I think 3 or 4 days after Dustborn had come out, and so, like, and it only took me about a week and a half to surpass their player count. So I mean, this is what you get when you make the game for your supposed audience. And if your supposed audience was so strong and so, like, modernly, like, like, just wanting for it, then why didn't they get it? And it's obvious that they don't exist. And so this is all just coping. Yep. And so with that in mind, let's look at this trailer for another game coming out that I think is involves some of these people. Fair Games. So this is a game called Fair Games. It definitely involves
Ubisoft. Jade Raymond. Jade Raymond. Jade Raymond is she has had a whole slew of losses over the last couple of years. She's ping-ponged back and forth between EA, because she used to be in Ubisoft. She used to be like she was the original girl boss, kind of like figurehead that they put out there for Assassin's Creed 15 years ago. And like, she was like the it girl for like longest time, and like they gave her a whole bunch of stupid money positions. She ended up going to EA, and her time at EA was fruitless. Everything she worked on fell apart, and then kicked over to Google to work on Stadia, which obviously went nowhere. And then that led to this game company that she has called Haven. But yeah, she herself is just another Ubisoft operative that has filtered out into the industry.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Yeah. Oh, the infection spreads. Well, we're going to look at the trailer for this game. It's basically the commie simulator, but it's more like a commie wet dream simulator where they're like doing things instead of just like, on Reddit. Let's take a look at this called Fair Games CGI reveal trailer.
You want to know about us? Seems like everyone does these days.
Eat the rich.
It's simple.
Devour our new target.
And too much power is held by just a few people. And it's only getting worse. So, we decided to do something about it. Let's go.
Corrupt yourself. Become a robber baron. Become
it really hate. I'm just pausing it there just because I know, despite how much these people like to seize the means of production, they also don't want other people using their copyright material because they care about their property, just not our property. But anyway, so notice the diversity. This game looks really, really bland, by the way.
Dude, this is like Kim Belair. This is like we've got another Kim Belair.
They're all self-inserts for sure.
Yeah. Kim Belair shows up in so many games nowadays. It's not even funny.
Okay.
Designer socks too. I got the sweat crew. It's a haiku. I'm something like you. My drink and drive too. Work 9 to 5s when I was in high school. These shoes here don't come out till June. This my pick. I'll crop you. Maybe to the game. Said my I do's got a window.
Remember, this is not gameplay. This is CGI trailer. So.
They're selling the concept of the game.
Yeah.
Or more appropriately, the conceit. Because this is not what it's going to be.
If you ain't got it, then you can't flaunt it. Pull up Lamborghini and on
it. All right. That's the trailer.
You ever get the feeling that if that Robin Hood show from last year would have been semi-successful, that they would totally synergistically be doing skins and whatnot for this game?
Yeah. I love these comments. Okay, this is my first thought. Eat the rich, everybody, said the giant corporation. Also, please buy our overpriced battle pass.
Right.
I swear, man, like game developers they're on a mission to not win any awards. Like they just want to see how fast they can go broke. And I think a lot of it is on purpose, well, anyway, that's it. I just wanted to say that. So, yeah. David Joshua says, it's a neat trailer, but I don't know. Well, the thing is, you can make a trailer look great if it's not running in engine. You have to be very, very careful about that, because I remember
there's nothing there about gameplay.
Do you remember when Ubisoft did the Watch Dogs thing and they showed us gameplay of Watch Dogs?
That's you mention it. Those are the people that are making this game.
Yes.
I've done research on this since you sent me the thing, and I was like, all right, well, I want to find out a little bit more. And so I found out, because Jade Raymond, she's the lead on it. It's her design house, right? and she brought all the people that she knew from her past at Ubisoft and various other places. And yeah, the last game they worked on like this, why it seems like it's like Watch Dogs, it's because it's the team that made Watch Dogs. And what had happened with Watch Dogs? Fucking failed. So
yeah, it failed. And also when the game came out, it didn't look like the game that was showed at the show.
Exactly.
It was like way less interesting.
Mirrors.
Yep. So like you have to be careful. I wouldn't trust it. I would wait until you see a gameplay trailer, but even then it's like it's just another like why wouldn't you just play Payday 3 or something? You know, like there's a lot of other games that already do this, you know?
Right. And like we just said, the very fact that they have a history of misleading through, you know, as much as these people want to talk about misinformation, disinformation, all that kind of shit, they'll go and they'll put out like some CGI pre-rendered bullshit and try to act like that somehow represents the actual game that you're going to get, when ultimately it's just, you know, smoke and mirrors to try to bilk you into this idea that you're going to get something worthwhile. Just no different in some ways than Outlaws making a patch for somebody who's reviewing the game, but holding on to that patch until the day one release for all the people who, you know, paid extra. And then they're like, oh, would you like $5 worth of bullshit for that $60 extra that you spent on top of a standard game that would have just netted you the exact same experience that you're getting now because we didn't give you the update? Fuck Ubisoft. Everything that they connected to, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna predict that this game is basically dead.
Yeah, it's DOA already.
Yeah, it probably is. Like, the comments are not favorable. All right, so let's move on to the next story. We're gonna talk a little bit about the live service thing, because that game is going to be a live service game. And, like, how much do people really want these? So we got this article from Games Radar. After Redfall and Suicide Squad, both live service games, Concord's failure, another live service game, or must be the nail in the coffin for the industry's failed live service gold rush. Too many games are living short, embarrassing lives. Yeah, well, Concord is not only because of the live service, but Concord is dead after being in some form of development for 8 years. Sony's first party's hero shooter lasted just 11 days before the announcement that it would be pulled from sale with refunds handed out to anyone who purchased it. There's potential for it to return, but Concord remains the product of nearly a decade's work, 8 years. At the behest of the biggest company in the industry, it has next to nothing to show for it. So, I mean, like, basically, they're basically using Concord's failure, the disastrous failure, as a means to talk about the problem being live service games. I don't think that's really the problem, but I think that there are models that work better than other models. So it depends on how you do it. Because like Helldivers 2, despite it not being like nearly as big as it was, it's still got plenty of people playing. I'll look at the numbers today, and it is a live service game, but it depends on how you do it, you know? And I don't know. I think Redfall was just a massive failure. And Concord's problem was, at the end of the day, it didn't even get a chance to show how it could be as a live service game because it was so ugly, nobody wanted to buy it. And I said, you know, I made a video on my channel about essentially demonstrating why Concord failed because it was ugly. It wasn't the gameplay. It wasn't like the fact that you couldn't get any rooms. It wasn't a day one patch. It wasn't like a bunch of bugs. Like, because all those things were pretty much okay, but it was the art design was awful. And I explained how that works, because if you don't make that initial first impression with gamers,
dude, it was beyond awful.
Yeah, it was beyond awful. And I showed it, and I had some good comments. I want to see if I can find one, because they were like very constructive is my point. And they were sort of seeing what I was seeing, picking up what I was putting down. I mean, I'm talking like art professors were like, oh yeah, this game is ugly. Yeah. So let me go to the comment section of this, and I'll real quick, I'm just going to read them from here. So, and there's also something else too, which I think I may have said in the video. It's not ugly because these people aren't talented. It's ugly on purpose. But okay, so Let's see. I'm gonna see if I can find the one comment. Somebody said, why do all the Concord characters look the same in terms of silhouettes? Yeah, there isn't that much diversity. Somebody said based shapes are very important. Somebody said, this is the first video I have seen about Concord that has lauded Battleborn, because I made a comparison to a failed game called Battleborn, which failed because it came out at a bad time. It came out at the same time as Overwatch, and Overwatch just had more appeal to people, and because it was Blizzard behind it, there was more hype. And unfortunately, I think Battleborn could have been great. But yeah, he said, let me see. I'm gonna find the teacher. I just want to find that made that comment. Let's see here. I love that you use Battleborn characters to make your point. Former art professor here. They failed in every major design aspect. There's not a single metric used to judge designs that would not fail any or all of these designs. Silhouettes, big, medium, small, tone maps, intensity maps, color schemes, and theme language. Yeah,
the gestural mass of the characters makes no goddamn sense either. Like the way that, you know, they just don't have verisimilitude is how you say that.
Yeah, it's got bad colors. There's no recognizable motif. It's just ugly, objectively. And that's the thing. Like, these people want you to think that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It's just not true. I mean, some people have a little bit more tolerance one way or the other, but ultimately what is considered beautiful is an objective standard. It just you might meet that a little bit sooner than others, but Concord was ugly. It was ugly on purpose. I think that these people uglify games on purpose. I mean, I don't like to make videos that show, like, you know, like the only true measurement of whether or not a game is good is if it has sexy women in it. I mean, I think sexy women in a game is a bonus, but it's not like the thing that primarily drives me. I'm more of a fan of aesthetics in general. Well, but there are people who make videos about it. Go ahead.
Right. I think the issue is like you know, we've basically got these Reddit heifers that are in control of the character design. Yeah. And they, you know, and it's quite literally like, you know, they talk a good game about feminism, but they do not like feminine women. You know, like you have to basically look like Large Marge, or like, you know, be a barge of, you know, just some kind of crazy cat lady bullshit. And that's what they consider to be real women, like women that actually, like, you know, like are beautiful classically.
No, but they don't. Like, yeah. Ultimately, they just want to insert themselves into stuff. They don't really want like diverse women. And they want us
to see them as desirable is ultimately what it's about. And that's kind of like, I thought you didn't care about the way women look, but yet here it is. You're eliminating women that are classically beautiful because you want to be the focus of desire. It's fucking projection bullshit.
Yeah. Okay, I got a super chat. Thank you, Dean Domino 25. He says, some palate cleansers, Inera, a game like Metal Gear Rising / Ninja Gaiden, and Might Raya, a stylized anime superhero game. Thank you for the $4.99. I will check that out, Dean Domino. Then I got, he also added another $2 super chat and said, also be crowned for survival horror fix. Wow, man, I'm so glad you're in our chat because you're making some great recommendations that I'm gonna look at, because we need to like have alternatives, and it's a good thing. But we have I got a few things I want to show at the end that you guys might like. All right, so let me see. Teal Deer, it's a friend of mine. Hi, Teal Deer from the UK. He says, to the art is subjective crowd. Simply replace every aesthetic item they own with a turn on a plate. They cannot complain about it. It's subjective and a social construct. Yes, well, aesthetics is, like I said, it's subjective. But yeah, these people use postmodernism to justify. I mean, it's what killed the art movement. Somebody else in my comments said they mentioned the intentional uglification of stuff, and they talked about the Dadaists of like the sort of like, you know, I don't know, like the Dada
was a art movement that was but like it was the art movement that was like anything is art. I farted into a microphone. It's art.
Yeah, exactly. And they use that, and that's been going on for over 100 years. And that's now the standard. Like, well, I mean, you've seen the video. There's like a viral video of this kid that was in an art museum. He took off his shoe and just put it on the floor in the corner, and people started taking pictures of it. Right, and they didn't know it wasn't art. They thought it was. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, that's ridiculous. We should not. That we have to like be able to say no. Art has to be beautiful, and beauty has a meaning, and it isn't like the golden mean. You know what that is?
Yeah, golden ratio. Yeah.
Yeah, the golden ratio. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, at least, that's like a basic starting point, but like these people don't want that. They're basically
beauty. Yes. Yeah. Things have to fit within the Fibonacci sequence. It's just the way we work.
Exactly.
As products of nature.
Yeah. They don't like the, essentially they don't like the idea that aesthetics is objective because it implies that some things are better looking than other things, which implies merit, which they despise. So, indeed. Yeah. Teal Deer says, the funnier thing is that everything as a social construct crowd don't realize. It makes everything much more important rather than diminishing it. Yes. Mm-hmm. All right. Thanks for that. We got to move on to the next story because we got a lot to get to. So let's talk a little bit about Alan Wake 2.
Yet to make a profit.
This game's been kind of controversial. So I'm going to ask you guys in the chat that are watching, did you play Alan Wake or Alan Wake 2? I have Alan Wake because I got it for free through like PlayStation Plus. So it's on my machine, but I haven't played it. I was thinking about playing it for October because like normally I stream I try to stream horror games during the spooky season. And I guess it is that, but I did play Control, and I got to tell you that I did like that game. I didn't know what the hell was going on in it. Like if you asked me what the plot was, I wouldn't be able to tell you, but I had fun playing the game. And I guess it was like this woman, I think this woman might've been the one that said it, but they were talking about how, I got involved because Control had a female protagonist and that's why. And I was like, that really wasn't on my mind when I was playing the game. Like I was like, I'm playing a woman. I didn't even think about it. Like I didn't, this is woke. I was just like, because she's like alone for most of it. And
the funny thing is,
it's
like for a lot of these women, they complain like there's not enough women in games, but if you give guys like a character editor, more often than not, like a lot of them actually make female characters, like because it's nice to like look at a woman's ass instead of like a dude's ass, like even if it's computer generated. But if you do that, then you're being a sexist bigot again. So it's like there's no winning.
Yeah.
Which is why the women have to be ugly. You can have a woman in your game, but you can't enjoy.
Yeah. So apparently Alan Wake 2 did not make a profit. It sold some copies, but they didn't get back. They didn't even break even on what they spent because production values for games now are production costs are really high, especially in the AAA space, or like this kind of like, there's been this new trend. I mean, like new as in like the last 15 years or so, where they have to make games into movies and they need to get real actors to put their real faces in there. And if they could get somebody to actually be like on camera, they'll do that too, or at least get their likeness. And I think what that does is just makes the game more expensive for no reason. And here's an example. There was a Call of Duty. I don't know which one it was. I think it was one of the Black Ops games. And they put Kevin Spacey in the game. Do you remember that? It was a long time ago. Yeah.
Yep. And I think that was one like because I vaguely remember because that's when 9 Inch Nails did some music for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then they get like people to do, and it's like, guys, you're making this game so expensive to make, and you think this is what gamers want. Like, frankly, we were okay when it was just like a pixelated plumber guy that was jumping on mushrooms. We didn't need, I don't need fucking, like I don't know, like some big actor. Like I don't want Ryan Gosling in my fucking game. But what's happened is that gaming is turning more and more into Hollywood, and so it's getting all of the rot from Hollywood in gaming, and one of those things is the egos of actors. So it used to be the case where if you had a game that had voice actors in it, you didn't really hear much about them. Like maybe you saw their name in the credits or whatever, and you recognized the voice when you heard it. Like the guy who does Mario still does the Mario voices. But if you want to get a little bit more involved, David Hayter used to do the voice of Solid Snake back in the day. Like he's considered a cult celebrity amongst fans of Metal Gear Solid, and that's probably good enough. But now,
otherwise, he's a writer.
Yeah, but now what you're getting is like people who are looking to be treated with the same amount of prestige as actual like Hollywood celebrities, and they're using gaming as they get their foot in the door. And this goes back to what I said about Concord. So like another reason why Concord fails because it's so ugly is because it's trying to capture the likenesses of the actors that are doing the voice work. Okay?
Right.
And the problem with that is that those actors have egos and they want their face front and center, which is why the characters look too human, to me anyway. And whereas
Uncanny.
Overwatch, the characters, well, the Overwatch characters are cartoony, so they don't, they're not supposed to look like the actors. They're just supposed to look like those characters.
But
you know?
In many ways, like stylized games actually are far more immersive than stuff that tries to go to the nth degree of realism, because games in and of themselves are an abstraction. They are abstracts, which means that they are pulled from things that are of larger works. There's no reason to try to recreate an entire reality space in a video game, because there are going to be so many details and resources that you'd have to put in for that. You know, like why do I care about whether the light switch on the wall is actually modeled or if it's just a bitmap that's got like, you know, like a neural map to it to make it look like it's sticking out? Like these are abstractions. You do not have to try to make everything be pristine. This is what we want. But game mechanics. We want.
But they're trying to satisfy
immersive experiences.
Yeah. But that's the thing. The actors don't care about that. They want their face time, and to them, honestly, doing work on a video game a lot of times it's just a stepping stone. They want to do movies. So like what we're getting is we get a conflict of interest. We have people that are working in an industry that they don't care about, that they're using as a stepping stool to get into something else, and that they're going to treat as such. Because like, you know, if you've ever seen actors trying to get work, I mean, I used to work in theater. These are some of the most desperate people that are like, they're fixated on their fame. Like this is like what they're after. And that's a problem. Now, there are some that are just doing their job, and I think that that's true. The guy who, Kevin Conroy, I think he was just doing a job. He liked doing the job. Same thing with Nolan North, you know, and somebody in the chat mentioned Stephen Ogg as Trevor Phillips. I don't know what that reference is, but I'm going to mention it because he said that in the chat. 5. Oh yeah, yes, GTA 5. I never played it, but there you go.
Oh really?
I never played 5. I played 4. And I'm not going to say 4 killed it for me, but I just realized that I'm not really into open world games that much. So, but I went bowling. I went bowling a lot.
4 was an interesting kind of turn for the series. Like in some ways, like I appreciate what they were trying to do, but I wanted to play Grand Theft Auto. I just wanted to be Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah,
you know, which is ultimately the response was when they made GTA 5 was it kind of got back to kind of those roots ostensibly initially, and they were making like, you know, light of all the free to play games and like, you know, all the pay to win kind of bullshit. Like, and the game that GTA 5 and online was parodying a decade ago when it first came out, it has now become the very thing that it was, you know, trying to parody.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's. I guess that's why the Saints Row games like were a hit in their own way, because they were like, I think that GTA 4, from what I read, it was trying to be too
intense,
like more grounded and realistic, and it kind of lost the. I mean, there was still some humor, but yeah, I get what you're saying. All right. Anyway, so back to the article because we should read it. Oh, because this is related to the Kim Belair thing that we just watched. So after Alan Wake 2 failed to turn a profit, Game senior community manager calls for bigots to be removed from gaming communities. Like I was removed. I was in a Discord group, a Discord server that was about virtual tabletop, Foundry VTT, because I play tabletop games with my friends from back home. And I didn't even say anything. I would only go in there to ask questions, and they kicked me out because they saw my Vivian James avatar. And the one person was like, I think that you should change your avatar. Oh, and my pronouns said go fuck yourself, but or fuck off. It was like pronouns fuck off. But again, you would only know that if you went into my profile to look at what I believe. And I said, well, I'll remove the pronouns, but I'm not going to change my profile picture. And they kicked me out. And I said, okay, well, whatever. And I put the pronouns back in. So I mean, it wasn't like I don't know. My point is, they will do this to you if you don't like play ball. So, senior community manager for Remedy Entertainment, Vita Sarovic, called for bigots to be removed from gaming communities in the wake of Firewalk Studios' Concord being boycotted and shut down due to low sales. Yes. So
she's another person that I can smell the cat piss off of through the screen.
Daniel Ahmad on Twitter, who I guess, well, let's see what he says. He said this: the comments around Concord from right-wing gamers, what does that even mean, shows the power of collective self-deception. If you say delusional stuff about DEI enough times and build a conspiracy-focused narrative, they start seeing that false narrative everywhere. I guess we have to live with this now. Meanwhile, Concord is dead, and it's so dead that it's filled with players throwing themselves off of the maps as quickly as possible in a desperate attempt to unlock the shooter's platinum trophy before it goes offline. So Concord is a gay-ass game that came out, and then it died, and then people started killing themselves. So I guess it just played the narrative of what happened. I mean, I'm just telling you what it looks like to me. I'm just looking. But anyway. Oh yeah, and she didn't respect my pronouns. No. Well, I don't know if that was actually a woman. But the thing is, it's because they really don't care. Like they can tell when your pronouns are legitimately fuck/off.
Right.
And they know, but they also know when you're not doing it legitimately. It's kind of like you saw the viral video of the women that were dancing. They were like OnlyFans girls, and they put dildos in their panties and danced around. And suddenly there were trannies that were like, "You're imitating us. That's not cool."
You're making a costume out of my identity.
Yeah, my gender is not your costume. And I'm like, you literally fell into this trap because you created the premise for this. Like, this is precedent.
Right, which is exactly what that tweet says right there, too.
Yeah.
You know, the whole thing about, like, being delusional. Like, the DEI shit started in the boardrooms. It started in the design houses. It went through all of fucking development, okay? And came out after marketing and all this shit to put it on sale. And at that point in time, when the audience, quote unquote, response is, no, fuck you, I don't want to be your audience. That is not them causing the problem.
Yeah. Also, DEI, like, it's not a conspiracy. It's literally in like all these companies' doctrines and like, about us and like what our mission is. And there are there's literally BlackRock literally does DEI forcing behaviors.
So that's when it says right here.
You're like, oh no, that's not happening.
If you say delusional stuff about DEI enough, and that is you. That is your organizations.
Yes, exactly. Also, Daniel Ahmad, you need to change your profile picture from Zhuge Liang, who was like a fucking genius, into something else. I don't know. Like a fucking frog at something. Well, no, not a frog. We own those. Anyway, he also says, and of course, the underlying emotional response is just standard bigotry and nothing new. These people are so exhausting. Except now there are grifters putting on a 4X stage play about how capital owners have gone woke and therefore no longer care about the profit motive for some reason. Well, I think that they do, but they're infected with people like you, and so they're losing money. But there are people who have high positions in these corporations that just don't care. They don't care if their companies fall because they think that they can just get more government money to make up for it. Remember, these people are backed by the state. So they're not that worried. I mean, fucking Concord was backed by, a bunch of like people from like countries that were 99% white claiming that whiteness is a problem. Like they were the ones that paid for it. So anyway.
Well, we paid for it. We paid for it through the process, and now we're paying for it emotionally and like all this kind of other bullshit. Like, yeah, we just keep paying.
Yeah. DEI makes bridges collapse.
We're not supposed to say anything about it.
Oh, here we go. Khalif Positivity Peddler Adams. So he has a podcast. I can't remember what it's called. Spawn Point or something. Spawn on Me, I think it's called. And he did a podcast with Alyssa Mercante when this whole thing started. And so like now he's like making himself the star of his own movie. And this is what he says about the chuds online. Prune all your gardens, push out bad actors, prepare your teams for the current conversation zeitgeist, give your community and social teams autonomy and resources to battle against toxicity, relay how all of this can impact the bottom line early to investors. So it's all about top-down authoritarianism, censorship, bannings, etc. And you know what? This is all the more reason for you guys to be more adamant about what games you want to support and which ones you don't. Because you don't want to end up getting banned from some AAA title, even though you didn't do anything, because you have bad associations. And plus, you're entitled to your opinions on these things. And these people, they really want to control your lives. This is just more proof of that. They want control because they hate that you can think for yourself, and that's the one thing you can't give them. So, and of course, when they say prune your gardens, they're literally like engaging in, I would say, holocaustic talk.
Oh yeah, that is as much as they talk about dog whistles and this and that. That right there is some fucking coded language. Pull the weeds, get rid of like the chaff. Like all this is just fucking useless to me. We only want like the best of the best. Like I thought we were supposed to like give a shit about diversity and like caring for our lessers. And that's the thing that gets me about all this stupid shit about like all these high-minded elitist fucktards who think that they could somehow come up with an egalitarian kind of method to make everyone supposedly happy when it's just civility. I'm polite when I go about my oppression. I code my language so it's kind and pleasing to the ears. So that means what I'm doing is perfectly valid, even though like I'm just lampshading the worst kind of shit in the world, because I sit here and I speak for the greater good, which has always led to nothing but the worst in humanity.
Yeah. So and it's weird because this is the person that worked on Alan Wake 2 chiming in on what happened to Concord. Again, nobody was harmed. People just didn't buy the game. And plus, it's not a small number of people engaging in conspiracy theory based on the sales of the game. It tells you that most people are like, nah. I mean, they may not have been like, like they were just like, that's not for me. Whatever their reasoning.
Well, I told you.
They
tried to get me to join their goddamn fucking beta 3 times. 3 times. And I was just like, seriously, it was at the point where I was like, stop harassing me.
I'm pretty sure there are still people on X right now saying, I don't understand why this game failed. I can't believe that there's so much hate out there. And it's like, they didn't buy your fucking bullshit game. I'm sorry. You'd go join the other Concord players that leapt to their deaths in the game. Like they basically
they
Minecrafted themselves.
Players. That's what I love about it though, is like the name Concord is just so close to Concord, and that's what happened in less than 2 weeks.
11 days. 11 days. This is like the most disastrous kaput in history. But speaking of disaster, so the slightly less disastrous is what I was saying about Alan Wake 2. So it's sad when this is a quote from someone. It's sad when low effort, phoned in Marvel games sell 12 million in a few months. Alan Wake 2 still not becoming profitable might be linked to its one decision that puts the future of Remedy in doubt. So they're not breaking even and they're mad at the gamers. And they're blaming Marvel games. Like, what Marvel games are you think you're talking about? Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is kaput. What was the other one? Batman Arkham Knights, kaput. What else you got? Spider-Man 2. I mean, I would like that one to fail. I don't want to support it. So here's this is the thing with Alan Wake. I'm sure that it's fine, but the problem is they did do a race swap of a character between games, which was really a bad idea. And the other thing is, again, you have a game with a lot of live action scenes where you have actors, and I guarantee you that costed them a lot of money. So if you have a game franchise, okay, and it has a cult following, and there's plenty of games that do, they have like a small but devoted group of fans that will, invest in the game. You will not benefit by spending more money for a larger budget. So you have to check your budgets. It's not our fault. It's not the fault of the chuds. It's not a fault of the bigots. It's the fault of you spending money in places where you shouldn't.
They, as the expression goes, bit off more than they could chew. Yeah.
Now, so just make us another Max Payne and make it good. And don't worry about getting fucking, George Clooney to do the voice of Max Payne. Just get a guy that sounds right. Whoever the original guy was.
Right? You know how there's Maslow's hierarchy of needs? That should be implemented into video games. Where all the way, the baseline is make fundamentally functional, mechanically driven games. And get your mechanics working right? The last thing that should ever go into a game should be the artwork. Even if you know what you're wanting to make, don't worry about things looking pretty until the end. Get your shit working right. Use primitives. And then if you can get your primitives to work right, and then you're just basically going and prettifying the thing, that's how you actually make solid fundamental game engines that you can use time and time again, which is hopefully what they did with Concord, because they were so quick to strip it off the market so they can get the skin and try to make it look like something different and new. Because the time and years that they developed into that engine, that's good. That's a resource. They can use that time and time again. But the longer that Concord was out, kind of exposing people to that engine and things like that, the more it was doing them a disservice in the long term, because it was such shit in terms of sales, which is the reason why they pulled it off, because they want to salvage something from it, which is the mechanics and the actual engine that everything is skinned upon. The skin, ugly as fuck. And they focused on that superficial bullshit. So, now all they have to do is spend probably another 3 to 4 years trying to figure out how to, make their superficial bullshit not so ticky-tacky, confetti, pride parade fuckery. And maybe, just maybe, people will buy whatever that is. But I wouldn't make it a live service game.
Stop trying to make movies and make games. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
Stop trying to make movies and make games. Make games first. Then, if you want to expand on it, add the movie element. But I think that more and more gamers are sick and tired of putting their controller down for a half hour while some actor who hates our guts is stumbling through a fucking soliloquy. So let's just focus on stop spending so much money is what I'm saying. Stop spending so much money, because it's either they get an over bloated budget and they think, oh yeah, we're gonna use this to make this sell so many copies. But then they misorient where it should go. Like you said about Maslow's hierarchy. We got to race swap this, policewoman character. That's got to happen. And then the game doesn't sell. And what are they racist against black women? It's no, maybe there's a problem with the fucking base game.
Right. And you didn't even actually address that because you were so focused on this black woman.
Yeah. I mean, again, let's we're going to go to Concord for a second. So I want to mention this one more time. So I saw this. Disgusting Film said Concord is going offline on Friday. Sales will cease immediately, and anyone who purchased the game will be offered a refund. This game was in development for 8 years. 8 years. And it didn't have an offline mode? That's another thing, right? We covered a game just last week or Tuesday. I forgot what it was called, but it was the developers were
badass. Yeah, and we're you want to make sure you play this forever, and you just have your
forever.
Friends.
It's called Forever Winter. That's what it was called, Forever Winter. And the guy said, yeah, you'll be able to play this game no matter what. You'll be able to run it on most rigs, and you're gonna be able to play it offline. You'll always be able to play co-op with your friends, either locally or
set up your own server, even if the game it goes down for whatever reason.
Peer to peer or whatever. Yeah. Yep. All of that. And they're That's what we're gonna do. So like, there you go. And it's not
I'm
even
gonna support the shit out of that game.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So yeah, Concord officially dead. More than that, suicided. Now, we got one more story that's not great that we got to get into. Well, this is Minecraft. Whew. All right. So, I'm not going to read the article.
Yeah.
Because I think this says it all right here. But
yeah.
The Kotaku article is entitled, "Sorry, the Minecraft movie isn't meant to be for you." Well, your terms are acceptable.
Strategy, indeed. I will gladly not go, and I will leave the space for anybody who wants to get in line.
Are you saying I'm gonna save like $20? Yeah, that sounds good.
Cool.
Was anyone here? Okay, so my wife's a big Minecraft fan. She loves Minecraft. She plays it on her own. You know, when she gets in the mood. She's weird. She likes Minecraft and like fucking, you know, Oregon Trail. Like those are her favorite games. You know, but but she doesn't want to watch this trail. I was like, yo, you know, there's a Minecraft movie. She was like, no. I was like, but it's got Jack Black in it.
Right, I'd imagine people that are Minecraft fans are probably more ambivalent towards this than people like me. I remember I was there, you know, like 15, 20 years ago when like Notch came out and he was just doing it. Wasn't thing.
Yeah, wasn't Notch pretty base though? He was kind of pro GamerGate. He was pro GamerGate.
And yes, and then when Microsoft got affiliated with him, they got rid of him because he was too based for woke Microsoft. And so at that point in time, my interest in Minecraft completely fell off beyond just knowing that it existed, and I've never even considered doing anything with it ever since it became a Microsoft IP.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the way this feels, is just, you know, corporate as fuck, and just kind of like, oh well, this is what people will accept because we can just, you know, we're the ones training them and they're beholden to our wares. No, we're not.
Mm-hmm.
How many movies fail now? How many games fail? It's like, keep doing it. Keep doing it. I don't care. Burn your money. It's all worthless anyways, you know. But I
mean, at least we're at the point now where we're actually engaging in a dialogue. This isn't for you. Okay, we won't watch it. You know, there's like a cycle. Okay, the trailer comes out and we're gonna watch the trailer. So let's look at the trailer and then I'll explain the cycle and how it works.
Yeah, you might want to mute it though because of
it's public copyright. Yeah, they're playing the Beatles.
Yes.
The Magical Mystery Tour, not even really my favorite Beatles song. It's like one of the weaker ones in my opinion. So you have the world. I wonder if they made this now. What would have been great is if they made the sets in Minecraft.
Right, that would have been novel, right?
I would have done that. That would have been clever.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then actually put those game maps out synergistically, like when the movie comes out, so you can actually play in the game world space that was in the movie. Yeah, but
yeah. All right, so
thoughtful.
Here we go. Random black woman. Now, can somebody please help me? Why is Jason Momoa wearing a pink jacket? What's happened to him? Did they get to him? He looks like a drag queen on his day off.
He eats the bugs.
Like, he is. I mean, dude. Remember when he was kind of considered a masculine, like paragon in entertainment? You know, he used to be like this. Like, you know, he was fucking Khal Drogo in fucking Game of Thrones. Like he was a fucking Conan the Barbarian. Like he played Conan.
People
in a
wanted
movie.
him to be Lobo. Some people still do, but I'm not one of them. I'm just like,
he's
no,
already
he's the overgrown beta bitch.
Aquaman now, don't you know? Yeah, he was on Stargate. I mean, like what I'm saying is they're turning all the men gay in Hollywood. That's what I'm saying. They're making them all into women. They're infecting them with gayness. And you might say, oh, Brian, you're being hyperbolic, you're exaggerating. Watch the interviews with all. Well, just look at the jacket. But besides that, look at interviews with guys like Eddie Griffin and Cat Williams and Dave Chappelle. They have talked about this. You know, there was reports that like some guy walked in on Will Smith just getting pounded by some other guy. And I was like,
just killing him.
It was murdering him. And I was like, dude, I mean, they do this, man. They do this, okay? Jason Momoa is a mess now. He's fat too. Like what? He looks like a Redditor now. I wonder if that's maybe this is one of those things. Yeah, maybe this is one of those things like, you know how like Robert De Niro, he put on weight to play Al Capone in The Untouchables, and it was like people are like, oh wow. Or like whenever I think Stallone put on some weight to be in Copland.
Right, or Christian Bale does a movie.
Yeah, Christian Bale where he gets all emaciated. Exactly. Right. And they're like, wow, that's just like method acting, bro. He's just maybe that's what Jason Momoa is doing. Maybe he put on weight because he's a serious actor and he wanted to be like, bring his A game to the Minecraft movie. Lobo is still correct casting for Momoa. I mean, at this point, it's waning. I would like to see a new person, some new blood. He's training again. Okay, well, he could do it. All right, well, let's take a look. So we got the sheep. And she's like, what the hell is that? And I mean, I might get like dinged for copyright. Yeah, so okay. So he doesn't look too fat here, but he's dressed ridiculously. So I don't know what the plot is going to be. I'm not going to watch it because it's not for me. And yeah.
Of all people specifically, it is like kind of not for you based on the thing.
How is that not? He says he's Steve. So is Steve the guy you play in Minecraft?
Yeah. He's the dude in the blue shirt. But he doesn't. Even though he's a blocky character, Jack Black is not a good representation of Steve.
Who would you have cast instead?
I mean, I'd probably if it had to be anybody with the youthfulness, I would just maybe Paul Rudd. Maybe. Or someone that's kind of like, I think, well, even that, well, just because he is actually starting to show his age a little bit. But like, if it's gonna be cast along these levels, he kind of seems more like Steve's body type and disposition as a character. If you're going to do that kind of casting, but otherwise, I would probably just get somebody new and fresh, because it's a movie that's based off a property. So why not, just like let the thing be the thing and not have it get caught up in a whole bunch of stupid, like, oh, I'm gonna go see it because this person's in there. That doesn't really work anymore. We're not, nobody's really a fan of anybody in Hollywood to the degree that they're just gonna like be obsessive over their stuff. By and large, like, I'm sure there's still people like that. But
if you guys have any suggestions of who would make for a great Steve in the Minecraft movie of your dreams, put it in the comments. I see a couple of suggestions. Somebody said Steve Carell. Steve Carell, he's a little old now. Zach Braff, I don't know who that is, but somebody said that.
Zach Braff was the guy who was on Scrubs all the way back in the day. So he too is all, like, everybody we're talking about is like in their 40s and 50s. So
yeah, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
I kind of want somebody that's a little more young. Geometric.
Right? Yes.
I don't know.
Like, Jack Black is the roundest thing in Minecraft. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, he's not geometric enough for me. I need somebody with square shoulders. You know who has square shoulders that could work? He was on Deadwood. What's his name? He's always he was on the show Justified. Really great, by the way. Timothy Oliphant. Timothy Oliphant. He's got square shoulders. But he's a little too slim. He's a little slim, but yeah, that could work. I don't know. Maybe what's the guy from Stranger Things that played Hellboy, that movie that nobody watched? He's got a square head, Somebody, who it should be? Somebody who has roots in Eastern Europe, Poland, Czechoslovakia, Russia, they tend to have square heads. maybe somebody Swedish could work too. So David Harbour, thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
Josh Brolin was pretty angular in a few things. I think
Very
if you
true.
and then what you do is, because I watched Dick Tracy not long ago, you basically take the actor and you like literally give them square makeup
Square
to make
features,
their bodies square. That would be
Yep.
fucking hilarious. I mean, like you're gonna make a movie based on a really silly premise anyway, you know?
Right.
Schwarzenegger's too
Shit,
old, man.
If it were me, I
But-
would have figured out a way to like try to bridge the uncanny valley of like, all right, we'll use you, and we're gonna try to make it look kind of, because everything that's quote unquote a real movie, like is this is the movie that's like live action. It's like no, it's just a naturalistic looking cartoon. But rather than doing that, I would just be all right. Well, we'll still have these characters that are based on humans, but it's still Minecraft. So let's see what Minecraft looks like with a little bit more of a real world tone to the the materials and whatnot.
Yeah,
but
yeah, kind of defeats the purpose though. Part of
yeah,
Minecraft's
but,
charm is how like pixelated it is and how square.
Exactly, and that's kind of the other thing too. Is like they're missing the point on this whole thing. Is like why don't you just make a cartoon? And
I think this is gonna be dead, especially what they said. It's not for you. They just presume that kids are gonna want to play it. Kids aren't playing Minecraft anymore. They're all on Fortnite now.
Kids don't even care about movies. They care
They're
about
on their
TikTok.
phones. Yeah,
they
they're
go
on
to
TikTok.
YouTube. They're more
Yeah.
likely to watch us than that bullshit.
All right. Let's get into the next thing. Something I want to respond to or just look at. So just a short message. I'm going to be releasing a video. I'm going to try to release a video this week about Space Marine 2. Space Marine 2 launches on Monday. And I have to admit, I'm of two minds here because I'm not sure if I want to get it or not. So I'm going to try to compile a list of pros and cons with regards to GamerGate 2, because I think there is some, based on like what's been going on at Games Workshop with, female custodies and this other cringe woke shit, and some people that worked at the studio that's made Space Marine 2 have said some things about defunding the police and whatnot. But the game itself, from the reviews and what people are saying about it, seems to be unapologetically masculine, and I'm kind of here for that. And I think that might be more important than what some of the, globo, homo, gay race communists have said that worked on the game or work in the community or whatever. Work at the higher level, because this is a game being made by a studio that's not direct. It's like working under Games Workshop, but they're not. It's not like they have the same people there. And I know that Games Workshop has its own issues. But again, some people like Arch and Teal Deer, who knows a lot about this stuff, they could probably, look at this a little bit more rationally and not just be like, oh, I'm definitely going to get it regardless, or I'm definitely not going to get it because I don't like this person said this thing and I don't want to support the company. So I am going to make a video on it. So I don't want to spend too much time
on this.
Yeah.
Because I've just been kind of reading it while, like, right there in that last line.
Oh, I'm gonna read it.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. I want to read this. I want to read this. So,
yeah.
This is one of the reasons. This is one of the reasons why I want to buy the game, because it's pissing off the right people. And again, the company has woke elements in it, but I mean, the truth is, every company probably does. Like, there's almost no avoiding it. It's just a matter of like, how much do you let it influence your product? That's what I'm concerned with.
We were talking about this last night, about how, because it kind of like, it was about Beetlejuice, Jeffrey Jones being a character in the movie, right? In the first movie. And his fall from grace, as it were. Well, that character is still that character and not him. And so there's people who evidently have up in an uproar about his visual element being used as a photo to refer to a character that was played by a guy. That guy is not that character, right?
Yeah.
And so and so
what? Jeffrey Jones was in trouble for some reason. In case people don't know, so Jeffrey Jones played the father in Beetlejuice, but not the dead one, not Alec Baldwin's character, but he Jeffrey Jones is great, by the way. Fucking great. He's funny. He was on Laverne and Shirley. I think that was him. He was in like all
Ferris
these
Bueller.
movies. Yeah, Ferris Bueller. Best of Show. Spinal Tap. Wasn't he in Spinal Tap? I think he was.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm young, but yeah.
I think he was, because it was the same group of people. A Mighty Wind.
Right. But the point that we were getting at, that's all right. The point we were getting at, though, is just as irrelevant as his, outside kind of whatever is to the nature of the character. We were saying same thing. It's like, dude, if you want to like hire somebody who's a trans actor to play a role that is just the role, I care about how they portray the role, not so much who, but if you go and start like manipulating the character that's on screen to fit this person that was hired and make it about them rather than they're actually playing the character, but now the character is just an augmentation of the actor, that's when that's when I have issues with it. But if people can, whatever you do and the proclivities, your own privacy, I believe in, personal freedoms. You live your life however you please, right?
Yeah.
But if you're going to act, and acting is a job about performing roles that go outside your comfort zone and your own experience, because like the whole point of acting is to lose yourself in the role, but you want these roles now to just be framed around like, oh, now it's, me in the Victorian era or me in World War II. And it's just like, it's you constantly in all these different spaces. And so it's like, what, it's why I don't watch the Rock movies. I've seen, I've seen Standing Tall or, like 20 some odd years ago.
Oh, JoJo's moving around.
Like
okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Right. And that's like the pinnacle of Rock movies is just kind of like the stuff that was 20 years, because he does the same stuff now. It's just he's older and slower and whatever. And I'm done with it. That's all this stuff. It's like hire people for the role that is contextually there, and you would see a lot less backlash. But that's not how these things are pushed anymore, because it's there's too much business going into entertainment, and not enough entertainment that's actually being able to come through along the process because of the business getting in the way.
Yes, say hello to JoJo if you guys want to give him pats in the chat. Give him pats. Yeah. He's awake and just kind of like giving me a little bit of a side eye, but all right. Anyway, this is why I'm leaning towards buying the game, because it is pissing off the right people, and this is not the only case of this, but I'm not going to show all of it. Okay. So Pixel Perfect says, not bait. You shouldn't play the game until they add female space marines. Here's why. Before you lose it and call me woke, listen up. There are people who have been stomped on for centuries, and we're finally at a point where we can start to make things right. By adding female space marines to a video game? Who's around? Hey, anyone out there that's been stomped on for centuries, I want to hear from you and get you on my show, because I think I'll make a lot of money talking to like an ancient being, especially one that's experienced being stomped on for centuries. How can you sit there and play a game made by devs who are openly sexist while also refusing to add even a shred of diversity? What's the big deal with having a single Marine who's intersex? What's the big deal?
What's the big deal?
LGBTQ or female. Right? They did it for custodies in the game. See, now, this is it right here. See that? They did it for custodies. So they set the precedent, and now the begging continues. Remember the 5 stages of woke entryism, okay? If you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile, and we can't let them.
And it always starts, and it generally always starts with that stupid fucking, like, it's a suggestion of a question, but it's not. It's a lampshade.
Yep, and look at this.
What's the big deal? Like, well, if it wasn't a big deal, then why do we have to do it?
You got to say no. Look what they said here. One character, they could be on screen for 5 seconds and it wouldn't hurt you at all. No, but it would be the precedent that you would need to do it more and more and more. You have to say no right up front. It's like somebody, I was on Twitter. Look, I've already said this before.
Can I put my dick in your ass? Just the tip,
No, don't do that. Yeah, you have to. That's what I'm saying.
That's kind of the thing. It's just like, can I just tongue your asshole real quick? It'll be 5 seconds. Just give you a little rim job, you know? No, fuck you. Get away from me.
Okay, so they can be on screen for 5 seconds and it wouldn't hurt you at all, but it would mean the world to someone who finally sees themselves represented. Can you imagine being like a girl, like playing like Space Marine 2 and there's a female Custodes that shows up for 5 seconds and she's like, oh my god, I was just gonna throw myself off a bridge, but then I saw this character in a video game and now I know that I could myself become a female Custodes. No, that's stupid. So anyway,
and
this
doesn't
whole
even
like
discount the fact that. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's okay. No, it doesn't discount the fact that what?
Well,
go ahead.
Well, Warhammer's a dystopian sci-fi hellscape. It's not anywhere close to what our reality will ever fucking be. Should not.
I mean, I will. You know what? While I got some expert people in there that are they're very knowledgeable on Warhammer. I will say this, okay? Do Custodes, much less Space Marines, do they even fuck and make babies, or are they just doing war? And are they not grown in like test tubes? And if that is the case, why in the worldwide fuck with you would you even be making test tube super soldiers and be like, you know, we should make some women? Like that wasn't. Why would you do that? Like even functionally, they would still be men. Like with what? Like it literally. You're just essentially. This kind of pisses me off because.
Well, that's the point of Space Marines being men and being nothing but men. They're like the Urukai. They just are built for war.
Well, again, I don't know how they're made, but I don't think they're made in. I don't think that they're just like being born like that. I think that they pick the best,
genetically modified
or something. I don't know. Somebody knows. Teal-Deer knows.
Badger, he does videos on this stuff all the time, and like, it's like a thing where it's like, the Custodes are based off of the genetic material of the Emperor himself, and so like they're all manifestations.
It's essentially
they're not even people. So
no, exactly. It's essentially like Sparta. Like, I would guess, and this is another thing they're not getting. Even all the male Space Marines, they're not thinking about women and going to the bars and starting families. They're only thinking about stamping out heresy. That's it. That's the only thing that they think about. That's their whole life. and however brief it is, because we aren't, and again, these people are like, why aren't there any women? Like, oh my God, please don't. Like, just stop. Okay, Teal-Deer says, Custodes are all test tube babies. Astartes are sometimes lab grown, other times taken from worlds as children. So it's like Sparta, where they're only going with the best. Teal-Deer says each chapter has different worlds for recruits, so the lore isn't consistent. Right, but there is a general idea that you're not like, let's just randomly make some of them women. Like if you are able to engineer the perfect soldiers, they're just going to be men. Like, sorry. Also, all Astartes are asexual by default because of biological changes made to their bodies and brains and brain manipulations. Yeah, exactly. And it means like
the Urukai in space.
Even discussing this is stupid. Yeah. So anyway,
they're space orcs. Deal with it.
Yeah.
They don't care about fucking.
But well, no, we already have space orcs. Those are orcs. But
right.
Those are greenskins. But we also have but basically all of the minions, I guess, are essentially expendable.
They're the same thing. Yeah. They're all just pawns in war.
Yeah, they serve.
None of them are real. They're all just constructs.
Yeah. Richard says orcs didn't do nothing. Orcs are the only ones in the grimdark future that are having a good time, I think. Other than maybe like
now they're gonna have families and like all.
They're
this,
the only ones having fun. No, they just love it. They just love life, and I love orcs for that. Teal-Deer says also the gene seeds implanted into Astartes has coded to males' genes because they're inherited from the 20 Primarchs, all of whom are male, as created by the Emperor. Yeah. So it's genetically impossible for a female to carry the seed. And yet you got that jawed up woman that they're putting out there, and they're using it as precedent to change everything else. So let me finish reading this thing, okay? Yep. One character, okay, but it would mean the world to someone who finally sees themselves represented and who's really the snowflake. If that idea gets under your skin, you're the snowflake. It's you. They don't even need to be the main character. It blows my mind that anyone would back a game that's deliberately pandering to right-wing values. How is that right-wing? Do you even know what you're supporting? Or did some World of Warcraft YouTuber just tell you to buy it? By playing this game, you're choosing to marginalize people who deserve better. That's the point. I get that some will read this and say they don't care, but maybe, just maybe, try putting yourself in someone else's shoes for once. All it takes is a little empathy. You don't have to agree with them, but recognize that representation helps people feel less alone. It's sad that you've actively...
two shits about diversity.
No, they don't. It's sad that you're actively standing against that. Oh, let me just read this last thing. Because they got a bunch of jester replies, which basically says that they're a clown.
They're a clown,
Yeah, and it says, just because you use a jester award doesn't mean you're right. Don't bother trying to rile me up because it's not a good look. I'm not mad. You're mad. I'm not triggered. Right. You're triggered. Oh, man.
It's you. It's you, man. You're who's coping. Jesus.
Oh, God. That is, so look. I kind of really want to buy this game now. I'm just saying, like, you just sold it to me, random person. Right. I might be worth it, and I'm just saying, and I want to play it with Teal and whoever else gets it. So I might, because I think that it would be a really good time. And from what I've seen, it is it's a testosterone shot right to the balls. And I think this is what we need, because everybody, like, we're getting all this gay shit right now. You know, I'm just like, I'm ready. Okay, but anyway, that was cringe. All right. So now we got some good news, or potential good news.
A little bit of cake before we leave.
Yeah, we're gonna end it on some positive stuff, and we're wrapping up. So first things first, Bloodborne is coming to PC before the end of the month, unofficially. But hear me out. Okay, so first of all, John, have you ever played any FromSoft games, or are you not interested in that kind of thing?
You know, like my nephew, I've watched people play it, but it's not, you know.
Yeah, but like, what is it? Is it just too hard? Like, for some people, that's the problem.
I mean, I think that I'm just kind of at the point where, like, I've played the same game so much over years. Like, a lot of things, like, my interest in gaming anymore is more about the people that I'm playing with, even more so than the game that I'm even playing.
I see.
So, you know, like if I'm just gonna do something for my own time, I'll play Civilization or something that's just like, you know, like make me do like a whole bunch of weird, stupid autism math, you know, in my head, where like I can. Otherwise, if I'm doing like just mindless stuff, I'd rather just play with friends and just kind of have a good time. Not really.
Yeah.
I don't care what the game is.
Okay. Well, no, I was just wondering, like, because I want to. Some people might be burned out on these things, but all I will say is this, okay? So Bloodborne was only really available to people who had PlayStations, so it was an exclusive title, and I think that's unfortunate because it's in my opinion, I still think it's like one of, if not the best of the FromSoft games, purely on its aesthetic, purely on the art direction is like some of the strongest. It has some of the best music, although I think Dark Souls 3 is a close competitor. Sometimes I like that music more, at least in terms of the Souls-likes. And Sekiro has some really great music, but this is a really great game that people should play. And I as a franchise, I think it's great. But it's not being made for PC by PlayStation. Twitter user Pirate Nation has delivered a wealth of information regarding Bloodborne working on PC, and it looks like it's almost ready to be played. And so they have a couple of videos. I got a link on the next thing that will show some of some of the gameplay. But essentially, this is a passion project. There is a emulator called Shad PS4 that is going to possibly run it on PC. It's what they're working on, and they have it running at I mean, because like the main problem people had with Bloodborne was the frame rate was like 30 frames, and so like this one is running at 60 frames and at a higher resolution.
Nice.
So I'm gonna show you. This is what it looks like, and it's a like 2-minute clip of him fighting the Orphan of Cause, which is the final boss of the DLC. Well, maybe Lawrence is the final boss. So you can see how fast it moves, and it is a great game, and it does have like co-op and stuff too, as well as multiplayer. So it's kind of neat. He's also changing equipment while he plays, and this is some of the stuff he's doing. So maybe give Pirate Nation a follow as he's working on essentially doing the emulation for Bloodborne on PC. Yeah, so this is like
a remastered mod.
Yeah, he's essentially, yes, he's making a remastered mod that runs at a higher frame rate. I guess Bloodborne was on PS5 and it was running a little bit better and the load times were a lot shorter, but I don't know like how much of an improvement it is. I'm not buying a PS5, so all right.
You know, I would tell you, someone who owns a PS5, just like I was on a stream last night, somebody said, I just got a PS5. I was just like, you have my condolences. Or what? I'll talk to you in 6 weeks, dude. Like, you know, enjoy it while you can. But the first time it locks up and just kind of like, oh, it is. God, it is. It is.
Yeah, it's a bad look. It's a bad look.
Never buy another console. I'm done. Steam Decks only.
So, yeah, I might be. Well, I think a Switch would be good, but I don't know if I want one right now. But I hear this.
I like Steam Decks because they can emulate Switches.
Ah, I see. Okay. Yeah. All right. One other thing I want to show you guys. Not a lot of talk about Star Wars Outlaws. I think it's, you know, there's not much to say about it. It's not doing as well as Ubisoft had hoped. I think they might be losing money on that one. And they
definitely.
Yeah, and I think that like there's like not a lot of pre-orders for Assassin's Creed Shadows. We'll follow it as you know time goes on, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, after this last debacle, why would anybody want to pre-order anything from Ubisoft? You're gonna spend $60 extra just to get told on day one, hey, all that shit you did over the weekend, start it over, do it again. And you feel bad? Here's a $5 fucking trinket for the $60 that you spent.
Yeah, that really sucks. So here's what's wrong with Star Wars Outlaws. This is a clip from Asmongold. Shout out to Asmongold for the clip, for uploading this, but you got to see it because it's pretty funny. These are the stealth mechanics, because essentially Star Wars Outlaws is just Assassin's Creed in space. So let's take a look.
I'm gonna execute.
Please don't ding me, Asmongold. They look. He's hiding in the bushes. Takes this guy out. Stealth mechanics, guys. That one, no peripherals apparently. Got spotted. What are you gonna do? Just hide in the bush. Go back.
Right next to a fucking wall. The building. And Jesus Christ.
Then take that one out, and then go back in the bushes. Hide again.
We're pinned down.
You know, back in the Super Nintendo era, I played Alien vs Predator, and I did a leg sweep the entire game. That I just did one move, and I played the entire game doing a fucking leg sweep. That's what this is.
Okay. All right. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right.
Believe in the bush.
Stay the course.
That's right.
Stay the course.
Do not lose faith in the bush.
They do not know where I am.
Look at him. He's throwing hits. They can't find him.
Oh my God.
No.
The gameplay for our two highly anticipated upcoming premium titles, Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows, was not only praised by players and critics alike, but also highlighted the cutting-edge capabilities of our game engine.
Okay. Speaking of fake ass games,
right?
Quadruple A gaming experience, guys. Quadruple A.
The quadruplist.
The quadruple experience. The quadruplist experience. So, are you still interested in Star Wars Outlaws, guys? And Assassin's Creed Shadows, because they literally just completely destroyed the reputations of 2 games in one short 1-minute video.
Yep.
Yeah. So, all right. Anyway, stealth mechanics at work, guys. This is stealth gameplay. Oh, all right. So I want to show you another game. This is a longer clip, so I might not play the whole thing, but I want to jump ahead. This is not real time. This is a turn-based RPG. It has a kind of like a Persona, like it looks kind of like Persona 5, that kind of thing, but it's not. It's made by, I think the French made this one. But it does look pretty good.
We have a new gameplay reveal and everything, and it's the first one of its nature. And I wanted to take a look at it because I was very interested by the visuals
This is from
Mortismal
Gaming, by the way.
Announced. So if you have no idea what this game is at all,
the
whoa,
game
look at that! A woman that looks like a woman.
I know the woman that looks like a woman and a man that's not gay. So I want to jump to some of this is all in-game graphics.
This takes place in a sort of surreal world where some sort of entity known as the Paintress awakens every year to paint a number upon what they call the monolith. When she does this, every single person of that age sort of turns to smoke and simply disappears, seemingly erased. And with every year, that number continually ticks down. Naturally, you would like to stop it, and that's where the expeditions come in. People have been, of course, trying to do their best to stop this, and now it's our turn to do that as the members...
So this is a combat. So it's turn-based combat, but they call it reactive turn-based, where, you know, when you do something, there's like button prompts, and if you time them right, you get a better effect, and also when you defend yourself, there's button prompts, so it's a bit of a cross between like a turn-based RPG and like I would say predictable QuickTime events, because I know people hate. I don't like QuickTime events, but it plays like a JRPG, but it's not Japanese, so it's European.
Of Expedition 33. So let's talk a little bit about the gameplay specifically. Now, the first thing they wanted to highlight was the environmental storytelling, starting with the characters we have, discovering the remains of Expedition 68 and what happened to them. Now, that's important because apparently along the way, during our journey, we'll be able to find the remnants of previous expeditions and things they've set up for us, which interacts with some of how you're going to be traversing the land, including like grappling hooks and climbing spots, etc., that were set up by the previous teams. Now, when it comes to that exploration specifically, you'll be able to apparently control any member of your party as the lead character, which involves freely customizing their appearance and...
So yeah, you can, you know, when you walk, you know how those old RPGs where you might be in a party, but when you're on the map, you're just playing like one person is moving around. Yeah, so you can make that person whoever you want. There's lots of customizable options. Again, the characters look attractive, which is nice. So let me move to another combat so you guys can see what I like it has like this thing where everything looks like it's being painted out. So it has this very like interesting painterly style to it. And of course, the worlds are once super interesting too. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. And that, well, once again, it's just the message of if you want more immersion, then just focus on making everything cohesive within the environment, not try to make it look like shit that, you know, is contemporary.
Yeah, for sure.
Because this is beautiful.
It is.
And of course, progress. There's also a level-based system to all of your characters, so surely there's some stats in the background working there, but that seems to be the gist of it.
You can see over here on the side that shows you the combat order.
They did mention having a pretty diverse range of builds and being able to customize your party to suit a preferred play style, which is obviously where combat comes in. So combat here is what they're referring to as reactive turn-based, but effectively turn-based with timings and inputs that you have to engage with in order to maximize your effectiveness. So essentially there is a turn order, and during your attack, when you pick your skills or abilities or whatever, there will often be prompts associated with that you can, of course, press and interact with to deal more damage or put off extra abilities, though they did mention that it is actually possible to fail these, and some skills and abilities may even backfire when you do that. And they also mentioned that during your turn, these skills and abilities work off of action points, which will build up over time. 1 per turn by default, and then apparently there will be other ways to earn more, such as customizing your build to get them from, say, dodges or parries and things like that. So
it's like a limit break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to show any more, but that is called Claire Obscure Expedition 33. I haven't heard anything about it. Like, that's a red flag, but I'll be on the lookout in case something comes up. Let me see. What do you guys think about that? Let me know in the comments. Okay, we've gone a little bit long, and I know that you gotta like go meet up with the guys and help over there, but
it's not that big of a deal.
I think I'm going. We're gonna check in on. We're gonna check in. Let's do a health check, mental health check for Concord. How's Concord doing? How many people? Now it closed its doors yesterday, so I guess you shouldn't expect too much. But 8 people are still playing the game. Like, there are some people who are like, I'm playing this until it's gone.
Right.
So I don't know. Like, is this an error? But yeah, we have 8 people on Concord. Let's search Dustborn. So I want to see if actually Dustborn does have. Oh, there was a bundle. Oh my God! Somebody bought the bundle. It probably comes with the soundtrack. Let's see if you're right. Yes, you have more people in your server than there are people playing Dustborn. 31 players in game right now. So you're right, John. You win.
Yep. And they're top all-time 83. I still beat that.
All-time peak. You beat the all-time peak too. Yep. All right. Let's see how Homeworld is doing. Homeworld 3. Oop. I accidentally hit enter, so Homeworld 3 is right here. That's okay. 68. Oh God. Ugh. Oh no. 68 people.
Ooh. Come on, can we get one more?
Oh man. Yeah, get it to 69.
Yes.
Nice. All right. So what else? What's another game that I want to check on? Let me see. One of them might be Craig from Side Scrollers. One of the people playing the game.
Well, how's that Black Myth Wukong's doing still?
Let me see Alan Wake 2 first.
Oh yes.
I kind of want to know, why isn't Alan Wake 2 on here? Did I spell it wrong?
Because it's Epic. No, because it's Epic. It's
is
it's
it
Epic
exclusive?
Store.
Oh,
it is exclusive. Okay. So that's one of the reasons they try to peddle that, like, oh, our sales would be better, but like, they already got their bag. They got paid by Epic.
Yeah, let's see. Helldivers 2, it's not good. 17,987 right now. But 7 months ago they were at almost 500,000 players, and it's dipped precipitously. So you guys gotta get your shit together. Fix that shit. Okay, there was another game I thought of. Oh, Suicide Squad.
Yes.
I think their servers are still up, right?
Yes, still. And that's the thing. That's what I was saying last time. Their servers for Suicide Squad are leased on a yearly kind of basis for renewals. So the company that they could take it offline, but they still have to pay for the server fee all the way until the end of the year. So they might as well just have it there, and then when the renewal happens, then you'll see the shutdown.
Yeah, Suicide Squad is currently at 101, so now you have to top them. 101.
We'll give me till next Saturday. We just got to get 10 more members in a week.
Yep.
I think we can do it.
All right, so how's Black Myth Wukong? 613,000. And the thing is that Black Myth Wukong is a single player game, so like the numbers are going to drop off once people have finished the game.
We'll finish it, right?
Yeah, and then the numbers will go down. But it's still, like, considering it's been out since the third. When did this game come out?
Right at the same time as all that other shit. I think it was on the 20th. Yeah, 20th August.
Oh, yeah, here it is. Release date, August 20th. Yeah.
Same day as Dustborn and all that. Yep.
Yep. So anyway, yeah, let's fucking go. And I don't know. I'm not going to look at... If there's something else you want me to check on, I will next time, like as far as sales goes. But I think we've gone long enough. It's only like 8 minutes over. Do you want to say anything before we wrap the show up here?
Tonight I'm just gonna be working on general stuff, but we're gonna start trying to do weekend watch-alongs on Saturdays on the Discord to kind of give people more of a reason to come and hang out there and use it like a lounge. But this week, tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern time, I will be on Stupenzo's channel or Discord. We're gonna be watching stuff and talking about pop culture-y shit. And then also with Tomby on Wednesday on the Chinwag, we're going to be just kind of going over kind of the stuff that I'm doing with the Fellowship Fringe Society Discord server and how and why it's, actually works and what it's supposed to be for and the benefits that you can actually... Because when I explain it, and people can actually kind of get a little bit of better sense of, it's kind of like, it's a listing. It seems like it's pretty straightforward, but it's one of those things where you have to be invested in it to actually get the value out of it. And so it's a symbiotic kind of thing. So we're going to be there, try to talk about that, get people a little bit more into the server and just kind of like, having a better way of running a parallel kind of system where we have autonomy over YouTube, rather than YouTube being able to shadow ban links and do all this kind of stuff, or like how you don't get your notifications. So yeah, that's what I got going on. I'm just actually trying to make the server sing and get people that are like-minded and part of our FN2 network to just kind of be more collaborative.
Yep. All right, that sounds good. And I was going to mention one other thing too. If you like Baldur's Gate 3 or, that developer Larian Studios, Divinity Original Sin Definitive Edition is on sale, 70% off on Steam, $13.49. So I think that's a good deal. I heard nothing but good things about Divinity Original Sin 2, and it might even be, in some ways, it might be a better game than Baldur's Gate because it was before all of this woke shit became trendy and cool. So anyway, check that out if you're interested and you have a little bit of money. Thanks guys for coming on the show. Thank you, John, for joining me. If you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment, let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today, and please, please, please share this video because sharing is caring. Thank you so much for coming on today's episode of The Week in Culture, and we will talk to you all in the next video. Long live Vivian. Have a good one, guys.
Later, all. Safe travels.
With the glass ceiling broken, all the oppressed groups shall prosper, especially the most oppressed group of all, gamers.
I want people in the industry to be a little bit louder about people being mean to other people, and maybe say it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Maybe say we don't want you around if you're going to be a cunt.
Yeah.
And hateful. And that the games industry is diverse naturally. Not because anyone's making them be diverse. Because the world is diverse, you stupid motherfucker.
Yeah!
And if you have a problem with that, come fight me. Physically. Bitch.
Has anyone taken you up on that yet?
No, because they're all pussies.
Yep.
Down here, salt is a way of life.
Obviously, the environment down here is all salt. The ceiling's salt, the floor is salt, the walls are salt, and to an extent, the air is salt. And you breathe that in, and you can constantly taste the salt.